Hey guys, good morning. Here we are. We are going to be in the scripture together, looking at Psalms 82. I'll tell you what, as I look through Psalms 82, it's pretty powerful. There's actually a lot of confusion regarding the psalm in the world, just in general. As a result of this psalm, I mean, it's been the foundation of some really wild doctrines that many cults will hold on to. And we've got to be super cautious not to walk in that same sort of pattern when we read something like this. So here we are. We're in verse 1. It says this: God stands in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Free them from the hand of the wicked. So I'll stop there. And this is where it starts to stand out right there in the beginning. He judges among the gods. There's an implication because of the word that's used there, which is Elohim, that's actually a bunch of little gods, right? That you've got the big God, and then you've got all these little gods that are out, um, you know, doing what they do. The reality of it is that word has also been used quite a few times to describe those who are in position like a god. Now, who's that? Well, if you think about it, a judge, someone who is able to sentence someone to death or sentence someone to repay a fine, those sorts of things. They're standing in a place where you legitimately are responsible for the entirety of someone's life. And you have to be the one who makes the decision in terms of how does justice fall on the person who's done the wrong. And so that word God is to bring to light the weightiness, the heaviness, the reality of what it is to be a judge on this earth, what it is to put ourselves in position to judge other people, right? That God is going to look at them and we see that He is the judge of judges, that there's no question that if we're going to desire to put ourselves in a position of judgment on other people, or maybe God has we have a justice system that at the end of the day, He will render judgment on everything in which we pass judgment on, especially those who are going to be responsible for the justice system, which He Himself has allowed to be put in place around the world. And so He says this, you show partiality to the wicked. Why aren't you defending the poor and the fatherless? This is one of those things where the victims, it's crazy when you see certain circumstances where there's just a violent criminal that's given some ridiculously low sentence, and there's no concern, no thought whatsoever towards the victim of the crime that was committed. Then they come out and they end up just committing more of those issues against that same very person. And he's saying, listen, the victims of the world are not being elevated. That's God's heart, is that He doesn't want people to be victimized here on this earth at all, even though there is the reality of it, and sometimes God uses it and allows those things to happen. But when it comes to judgment and justice, the victims have to take a priority, is what's being communicated, rather than the one who's committed the crime. And the judges in those days, the justice system in those days, has been flip-flopped, has been totally turned upside down. And we see the same thing in our world today, that the justice system is many times flip-flopped. It doesn't always, it's not going to get the right person. It's not going to do the right thing. It's not going to pass what we feel is maybe the just judgment. The good news is that we shouldn't be grinding our axe on this particular issue, but we know that the Lord will eventually be the one who judges these things. It goes on, verse 5. They do not know, nor do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All foundations on this earth are unstable, right? They don't even understand what they're doing. It goes on, verse 6. I said, you are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all nations. And so As he finishes it out, he makes a bold statement that you are in this massive position, that God has positioned those who judge the earth into their roles, and ultimately these wicked judges are going to fall. So here's what I want to leave us with, and this is interesting, is because we see that God has established judgment and justice here on this earth through people. Now, is it wicked and broken? In many cases, it sure is. And there's an indictment against that. But here's where we got to be careful. Do we want to be one of those guys? Do we want to elevate our position into a position of a judge, into someone who's going to be rendering justice against anybody on this earth? I mean, frankly, if I had a choice, I would say no. I don't want to do that, especially in light of everything that's here, because every measure of the judgment that I pass will eventually be something that the Lord is going to judge himself. And now, are we to judge certain things? Are we to look at certain things? We sure are. As followers of Christ, we've been put in a position to judge the fruit and not to judge the world. We understand the world is sinful and wicked. Actually, that's pretty clear in the scripture. What we should do, though, is we should be ones who are willing to inspect and judge the fruit of those who are believers, not so that we can kind of, distance ourselves and all those things, but rather so we might be able, one, to protect the body in some cases. Two, we should be able to do that so that we might encourage someone along their walk. So be careful not to judge in the wrong way. Be careful not to put yourself in that position of judgment, and also look forward to what the Lord might be able to do as we righteously and lovingly judge the fruit of those who are followers of Christ, so that they might be able to grow in the Lord and we might be able to love them along that path. I love you guys. Be encouraged this morning, and have a great Thanksgiving. Super thankful for all the many blessings, all of you guys that are on each morning. And we will see you on Monday morning. Love you guys.